Three-point lighting is in a lot of ways the foundation of all lighting scenarios. This is what we build off of or take away from to create different looks. So today we're going to cover our key light, our fill light, and our accent light to get great light, simple, easy. Thanks for being here. This is the Neewer Academy. All right, so to get started with three-point lighting, we're going to get our key light set up. We've got our Neewer 660 Pro panel light here. We've also got Shelby. Shelby's returning from our two-point lighting video and our one-point lighting video. If you haven't checked those out, you should, because I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on a couple specific things on those. So if you don't know what a key light is, go watch those videos. So let's get started with this guy. Notice right now it's vertically mounted. The problem with doing it vertically, it's nice because it keeps the balance and the weight really aligned with the center of the stand. But the problem is if we wanted to angle this light, we're going to end up hitting the yoke. So what I'm going to do is mount it horizontally instead. So I'm just going to tighten those guys up, bring it right here, and tighten it up. Now this is just going to give us a really nice range of motion with our barn doors out. So let's fire this up. All right, and our light is set at 5500 Kelvin, same as our cameras. Speaking of cameras, over here on our Neewer tripod, this is going to be kind of our final shot camera. So we'll be cutting to this so you can see how our light is affecting kind of this final frame. And we're treating it like a portrait or an interview. So let's bring our key light up. And I'm going to aim for what we call that kind of Rembrandt light. This is going to be angled down the face. We're always kind of looking for this triangle of light on the opposing cheek. We really just want nice, even light here with a little bit of character. Now, one thing that we're going to look at is isolating some of this light because you can see it's hitting my backdrop right now, which I don't want. I want that to go nice and dark. So I'm going to use the barn doors to kind of cut that light. There we're getting a much nicer look. Now, you can put diffusion in front of these. You know, nice thing about these lights is they don't get very hot. So you don't have to worry about really industrial strength diffusion. You can use lighter diffusion for these. We're not going to mess with any diffusion right now. I like just doing stuff right out of the box. So this is it. We're not doing anything. I'm at 50% power. And like I said, my white balance is set to my cameras. I could bring it a little bit further this way to get a little bit more of a flat light. The only thing that I'm not crazy about doing light like this is, do you see the shadow under the nose? When it doesn't connect to the lips, you almost get like this little kind of mustache light. And I don't like it. Sorry, Shelby. I don't like that that little bit of nose light. So I like that kind of where the shadow connects. There, do you see how our shadow connects? Right there, I think, is a much nicer light. This is very flattering light. So your model will be happy, and this is a good key. Let's leave it alone and let's move over to our next light, which is going to be our fill. All right, so we've got our key light set up. Let's get our fill light set up. So when we set up our key light, notice we really like the way this looks, but we've got too much drama in our light. We've got all this contrast. We just are losing so much to this dark contrast. I want to bring a little bit of life into those shadows. I don't want to bring too much light in, because if I do that, I'm going to get rid of the modeling that we've done with our light already. So my goal with the fill light is just to pop a little bit of light into these shadows, just to show, you know, that there's information there. I don't like it lost. So let's fire this guy on and see what we get. Okay, so boom. So right now I'm at 50% on this, and you can see it's way too bright. We've lost the nice information that we had worked, you know, so hard for on our key light. This kind of flat, washed out light. So what I'm going to do is dial this down. Way down. Okay, now all the way down here, I'm at 1%. And I think that that's not enough. If I go all the way off, so there we are at 0. So I'm gonna walk this up a little bit. Right there's 9%, and I think that looks really nice. So at 9%, we're getting a little bit of information in these shadows, but we're not losing that nice effect from our key light. So I like this a lot. Positioning this, we're really just gonna put this sort of on the opposite side as our key light. So really, we're just about in the same spot. Make sure we're angled. I think that looks really nice. The barn doors, if we notice any spill coming off onto our background or anywhere else, we can move those. This is dialed down so far that we're not going to be seeing any of that change. So there you go. So there's our fill light. So now we're going to move on to our third light, which is going to be our backlight. All right, so we've got our key light set up, we've got our fill light set up, and now the third light in our 3-point lighting setup is our backlight. Now the backlight is going to separate our subject from the background a little bit. It's going to add a little bit of character, a little punch to the image. I really like having a backlight. I think they're really important. So the decision to make is, where do we want to place it? We can choose behind either one of the shoulders. My favorite is coming from the opposite side of the face from the key light. And it's because this is the area that has all the shadows. And so hitting it with like a nice highlight really makes it pop. It kind of gets lost if it's behind the same shoulder as the key. So let's fire this guy on and we'll take a look at what happens in the frame. So the problem with the backlight is it can get inside of your frame. The other thing that can happen is as we bring it out, if we're not careful, it can flare really bad in our frame. We'll get rid of that in a second. The first thing I'm going to do is actually dial this guy down. It's at 50% power. Well, let's take it all the way down and let's just see what happens. So there we are at 1%, and really not doing very much at 1%. 10%, we're getting a little bit of information there. I think that needs to be right about there. That's 20%. Let's take it off and put it back on. There, you can see it really adds a little bit of character, creates some nice separation, gives it a little punch. The problem that we're finding now though is that we are still probably getting some flare in our lens. What I'm going to do is just rotate it, and I'm going to bring my barn door in, and I'm going to be right there. And really, I like this a lot. I think we've got a really good looking key, we've got a really good looking fill, and that backlight is just hitting enough to give a little bit of snap to the photo. So there you go, that looks like a really decent 3-point lighting setup. So that's it, really simple. 3-point lighting, key light, fill light, backlight, and we're done. Like I said, this is a foundational technique. Most light is built off of this. If you master these 3, you can do just about anything with light. So get out there, do some cool shooting. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.